Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up. Welcome to our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7, Episode 4 Thoughts video. Just finished watching the latest episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm just going to be sharing my general thoughts on the episode. In this episode, it's black and white because they're still in the 50s and Coulson got a bang on his head. So in this episode, we see they dive a little into the film noir, just film genre in this episode, exploring this idea of having a narrator, a private detective type played by, in this case, Coulson, who's still playing his old, normal self, but we're hearing the narration going on in his head of, the new Chromacon, I should say, Coulson, as he's, going through the process of this episode. And I just thought it was fun adding this kind of fun little premise onto it. At first, when I first started the season, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about all this, time hopping. I was like, that's a little Legends of Tomorrow, don't you guys think? But I'm enjoying it so far. I like the premise of them having to follow the Chromacons, and then them having this kind of fun, a little bit of fun with the different genres, and in this case being the film noir genres that were big during the 1950s. So I really enjoyed kind of the theme and the idea behind this episode. It also had just some fun things, like the fact that they left Enoch there for 20 years and still haven't picked him up yet. And that I thought was just really funny and a little bit like shitty too, because Enoch's like, oh, you guys gonna, oh no, okay. And you see him get hurt and he's all sad. He's like, nobody cares. It's okay. Nobody cares about me. And it's like, oh, Enoch, no, they're just on the other side of the country, and they got a plane, but yeah, I can't defend them. I'm sorry, Enoch. So that was a little bit of a fun. It was a fun gag of them, calling Enoch a bunch of times and then never actually rescuing him in this time frame, because they're just like, oh, he's just a robot. He'll just be fine. And it's just like, he's got feelings, guys. Just because he doesn't think he does doesn't mean he doesn't. So yeah, I thought that just the Enoch bit was just a little bit of fun. I did think Deke was gonna maybe end up saving him, or that maybe he'd pop up for the, or he'd get picked up for the end of the episode, but it turns out they didn't get to him. So yeah, that was an interesting element that I'd like to talk more about than I thought. Another interesting element was in this episode was May. We're exploring a little bit of this idea of what's going on with May, and we see she has a couple different had a few different like emotional outbursts, but mostly she's just been like this blank slate. And then in this episode, we discover it's that when she's in proximity to somebody else, their emotions can kind of overwhelm her. So she's kind of latching on to other people's emotions, kind of empath, I believe, or just an empath. I think it's actually just an empath, meaning somebody who feels somebody else's feelings. But in this case, she can't control that ability. She just kind of is feeling she's just like a radio, almost receiving everybody else's feelings as the closer she gets to them. Or I believe it's physical contact that was making that made the particular thing. So that was interesting. It'll be interesting also to explore more of what's going on with that. Did she lose it's obviously something to do with this thing she was infected with last year, the strike, and so I'm just really curious to check out where that one. We did see a little like burst of excitement in this episode from May, which is something you've never seen. She gets all giddy at one point, and that was obviously taking a little off of Simmons' giddiness about the new tech. So yeah, I just thought that was just a fun little thing. I'm curious to explore that more. We get another Malik in this episode, which was just a fun connection to, if we're going to be doing this time jumping, you might as well connect it in with the different time periods you visit. So the fact that we got another the same Malik, just older and starting to infiltrate S.H.I.E.L.D. with Hydra was a nice little touch to this. And I also like that we see at the end the Chromacons finally kind of realize, okay, we can't just keep hopping forward and letting S.H.I.E.L.D. follow behind us. So some of us will hop forward and some of us will stay behind and help Hydra. And I was like, oh, there you guys go. Now you're thinking like robots or computers. So that I thought was interesting. And I'll be curious to see where this goes. It does seem like we'll maybe get an alternate timeline potentially next episode. It's hard to say because it's very weird as to whether, I don't think the Chromacons care about maintaining it. So we'll be curious to see where that goes. I don't watch the promos, so obviously that's why I don't know exactly what's going to be happening next episode. Besides, it's going to take place in the 70s, 80s, because they gave us a little hint of that at the end of the episode. But the last bit I wanted to just mention about this episode was the fact that kind of the big thing that happens, which is they end up saving Sousa, which I kind of saw coming. I thought, as soon as they brought up the fact that this was the day he was supposed to die, and you got a bunch of people who were time traveling, I'm just like, you guys are gonna figure out a way to fake his death, and they did, and I was right about that. So part was still fun because we get him for the rest of the season, which is nice just for that guy, for the actor, considering Agent Carter only got 2 seasons. So that's a fun little tie-in, especially since I feel like Agent Carter originally was supposed to have a little bit more ties in, going when it, and if it gotten more seasons, it would have had more ties with Agents of Shield. So I feel like this is kind of almost a send off for Agent Carter that maybe you didn't quite get with it being kind of just canceled after the 2nd season. But yeah, so that part was interesting. I'm curious to see where we go forward from here and what that kind of ties into the rest of it. Are they going to bring Peggy in before the end of the series? Who knows? We will see. Cause that would just mess up. That would mess up so much stuff in the MCU. But then again, I don't even know if Shield's part of the MCU completely anymore. It's hard to say. They're in a different timeline or something like that. But yeah. So anyways, yeah. So says saved, and so that's interesting to see where we'll go from there. But yeah, that's all my thoughts on this latest episode of Agents of Shield. Be sure to let me know in the comments below what you thought about this latest episode. Thanks again for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and have a good one.